So, after the San Bernardino shooting, I'm just going to post this video because I am tired of people saying stupid things that they think will solve a problem that is clearly just another attempt to avoid what they call the government taking their guns. My first point here is just because the government wants to implement background checks does not mean they're taking your guns. Those are two separate things. This is the reason politicians can use this as an excuse to shut down any kind of gun control, is because the minute people hear the government taking their guns, they think they're gonna take their guns, and then they go all... No! The government isn't going to take your fucking guns. It's not gonna take your guns. It just wants to make sure you're not a criminal. That's not the same thing. Get it through your heads, people. Seriously. Okay? Like, people are dying left and right all the time because of this. Because people that do not need and or are too dangerous to have guns have them. Because we don't have background checks. It's the easiest and most simple way to help control gun violence, but you guys all seem to think that the minute we have background checks, the government's gonna storm in and take... The government's not gonna take your guns. Oh my god, like... Seriously, guys, the government is not going to take your guns. And no, one thing isn't going to lead to the other, and it's not going to become a dictatorship. And no, just because the government does one gun control thing doesn't mean then they're going to think it's okay to take your guns. That's not how it works. Okay? That's not how it works. That's really not how it works. And banning assault rifles is not going to do anything because you don't really need an assault rifle. Why do you have an assault rifle? Why do you have an assault rifle? Do you need an assault rifle to protect your home from a common robber? No, you do not need an assault rifle. You do not need an assault rifle, okay? You need an assault rifle if you're going to go out and kill lots of people in a mass shooting. Yeah, maybe you do. So unless you're planning on doing that, you don't need an assault rifle. And it's because of people that are planning on doing it that we should ban them. Like, this is all logic and common sense. I cannot understand why nobody just sits there and thinks about it logically and realizes that America has the highest gun-related death rate in the world. Out of all, even with all the third world countries out there that have way worse conditions than us, we still have the most gun-related deaths. That's crazy. Why? It's because half the country thinks that somehow the government's going to take all our guns and that clearly we need them. Yes, well, when you have a gun, then you're giving access to people that are suicidal, a way to kill themselves. You're giving access to people with anger issues, a way to kill others. There are so many reasons why we need more gun control that it's ridiculous to assume that... to assume that we don't. And then the other thing that is crazy is the fact that some people seem to think that having more guns will enable them to defend themselves against a shooter. When in fact, there have been many, many simulations where they're like, oh, we're gonna have a shooter, and we'll see if people having guns will actually do anything. Unless you have any kind of marksmanship training, you're more likely to get yourself killed and fail to shoot the shooter before you get shot. Okay? Because if you have a pistol or something in your pocket and someone's, like, hitting you with an assault rifle, there's too many bullets around you to even... You're not going to do anything. That's stupid. Okay? The only way to solve the problem is to remove the source of the issue, which is the fact that the shooter had the gun in the first place. You can't shoot somebody without a fucking gun. Okay? So clearly, ban the assault rifles. I don't... Like, you want to have the right to own arms. That's great. You have the right to bear arms. That's great. The original reason that law was made was so that the Americans could have a militia in case the government became oppressive. That law never had anything to do with giving Americans the right to own guns. Ever. It's only today's interpretation, which is ridiculous. Like, that's great. Okay, we all have the right to bear arms. Great, good, that's great. You can keep your arms, but you don't need a military-grade weapon to do so or to protect yourself.